Hi everyone. Um, so I'm going through an exciting period right now in my process. It's been the last like 10 months or so. I've been walking a specific process, which, sort of, sort of over the last, let's say, phase of my life, I've been walking a sort of like bits and pieces of this process that's been opening up um, slowly but surely in different parts. Like one day I realize something and I learn something, but then I don't really see the full picture yet. And then maybe like a month later, a few weeks later, I pick up something else, and so on and so forth, where I pick up like little bits of puzzles and pieces of information about myself. And that happens when you're working with something that's really big or complex, or just seems like really hidden, or just really tough. Um, Things are usually that are more difficult and more tough, that are bigger in some way. They take more time to complete, to do, to understand. So the same thing with what I'm now sort of seeing the whole picture for this point, and everything that's been going on the last months. And this is, let's say, a pattern that has existed throughout my whole entire life, that is part of the very, like the physical body, in a way. It's on a very deep level. So, yeah. So I'm going to share this now. I'm going to change the presentation of the video now to sort of share it from a point of showing and teaching and understanding for those in similar situations, to try to bring some context from what I've been learning about myself. So let's start with different situations. So I'm going to start with my situation. So I did grow up here in this family, in this lifestyle. And in this family lifestyle, I grew up meditating. Now, that's what I was taught as a kid. So I would meditate. My parents would talk about, philosophy, spirituality, about life. And I see, because I did that at such a young age, that formed part of my personality, and how I present myself, how I talk, from how I think, from how I feel, how I deal with situations, how I respond to situations. And the very, let's say, very base experience of this, I call this a personality. This personality is like being sedated. If you ever seen me meditate, you would have seen me, you would probably think that I'm very calm, I'm great at meditation, which people have sort of mentioned or said to me when they saw me. So, and throughout my life, there's been situations where people sort of point out how calm I am, or even one situation where different people in my life had thought I was like on drugs of some sort, like weed, or drunk with alcohol or something like that. Just from how I looked, from my face is, how I appeared. Sort of taking, like, that's some of the information that I've been reflecting on. Now, of course, putting that together, and looking at what I experience right now, right now I'm having access to the personality. I can see it and feel it within me. And it is, like I said before, like sedation. And there's a specific song from, I forget what band, but it's like, I wanna be sedated. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. I wanna be sedated. If you know that song, you can probably Google that part. And find the lyrics for the song. It's probably easy. But so so that song, like when I hear the word sedation, it's like there's an experience that comes up within me, which is a cross reference for that, and it is an experience of sedation, like feeling very calm, like if I'm on morphine or something, or I'm very relaxed, very peaceful, um, really slow moving. And there's more words attached to it that it sort of shows how the experience is very can change from like even goes to like a positive experience or negative experience, which is interesting. So it could be like the negative as depression or sad or being mad or being upset, or it can go like to the positive of like feeling happy and light and content and satisfied and peaceful and calm and good. And then there's the more like, let's say, neutral words, which sort of describes like really the base of the experience, which is like sedation and what I experience when I meditate, like meditation, like a medication, sedation, medication, sedation, like as if I'm sort of drugs, as if I am on some sort of drugs. From like how my face appears with my eyes, from how I talk, the sound of my voice, really calm, soothing. Yeah. So I mean, so this is me growing up as someone who would meditate, whose parents taught them to meditate. And my response to situations included meditating and sort of becoming quiet. And I wrote down, like, I have written down, like, for myself, like, all the different little aspects and dimensions possible that I could find so far. And it shows, like, how it exists in all these different contexts and situations and different ways it exists. So, for example, in situations, depending on the situation, I would respond in certain ways, which would be, like, running away, hiding, avoiding, which is, honestly, is a kind of a cross-reference with my astrological sign, which is a crab, and the crab, which is Cancer, and the crab is supposed to be like the symbol of it, like you hide in your shell, you know, you hide in your shell. So, so now it's like sort of, I'm trying to now relate this to other contexts because not many people, or I don't know, maybe in India for sure, there's a lot of people maybe, but not many people grew up meditating as a kid, right? There are places where that occurs, like in Buddhist temples when they take kids and they train them that way, or like in India where it's very into meditation, or in other places, or other rare cases like with me in like the Western world. But if you don't grow up like that, then perhaps you can relate to like with drugs, like if someone who just smokes weed a lot, for example. I would see that being the same thing, or you know, it could be in other case situations where maybe it's not explicitly like meditation, but your parents like sort of teach you to be calm or tell you to be calm or have you do things that sort of calms you down. And yeah, so maybe you can relate from like a drug point of view, like if you take drugs or drink alcohol as well. That's kind of like would be like the experience kind of thing. And for me, I can see how it's like on a physical level, where it's within my like biology. I don't know the right words yet to describe this, but the words like my physical chemistry, I think is a good reference for me that I like, where it's like my chemistry of my body is like conditioned to be in a state. Like it's like a habit. It's very habitual. It's like this is what's normal. That for me to change would require changing it on this physical level, where how my body is like the cells, like the biology, the chemistry, that has to like change and shift to like different levels. That's going to take a process to change. That's probably going to involve like physical action and doing and some sort of physical thing as well. What else? And I guess just to share there are studies out there which look into emotions, which would be interesting for me to look at the scientific studies, psychology studies done on emotions and feelings and thoughts, particularly on the emotional side. And there are studies that have done that, but it's not very popular. You don't have like a branch of psychology dedicated to emotions, for example. You have a branch of psychology dedicated to different things like memories, like with behaviorism or like child development or the brain or language. Those are like major branches of psychology. But there's no like major branch of psychology, as far as I'm aware of, that focuses on emotions. And that would be very interesting if there was a branch of psychology focused on that, which, let's say, it is a difficult thing to tackle, but for example, there's a whole branch of psychology focused on memories alone, and they're able to do that, so I don't see any reason why there can't be a focus on emotions. So, yeah, let's see. So for me, so I have a really cool reference for myself, and other people can maybe relate to this. It's this from this cartoon, Winnie the Pooh. The character Eyor, which was that donkey that was always like sad or depressed. How I sort of, that word, that reference of that character is a good reminder for me for what this whole system is. And this is one of the more challenging systems, maybe the most, I'm not sure, challenging systems I've faced, and where I know it's almost like a temptation where I can get really stuck within that. So having all this information, having a reference like the Eeyore personality helps, because it's about remembering what this is and trying to change it in every moment. And now I'm working on solutions where I sort of can start seeing now where I want to go with this to change, but it's also not very clear at the same time. So that's where I am right now, in the midst of testing things out and just trying things. And it's not as simple as before with other parts of the mind that I've worked with where the answer is really sort of obvious. This one requires a bit more time to work with. So in that sense, it's actually a really good sign that I am working with something that's very, let's say, serious, and if I were to change it, it would be really have a substantial impact on my life. So yeah. Let's see. 13 minutes so far. So, I don't know, things for me that I'm looking at doing is something which, there's like this point I see within myself that is like, let's say, being alive, I'm calling it. Whereas this point of, what would it mean to be like normal and be, I don't know, active maybe. And I can sort of see it, but still like very somewhat hazy. And there's physical activities which, like swimming, for example. There's a pool that's relatively close by that I can use. And I don't know, something about swimming that physical movement I enjoy, the water I enjoy. So that could be like an easy transition for me to do. Because otherwise, like, I can see myself doing like physical exercise activity that I don't really see being the point of change within myself. Like, I don't see that within that activity. So I don't know, I just have to like test things out in a way, because this is something new I'm working with. I'm not really sure yet how to handle, but I have more information now than I ever had before with this, so I'm in a really good place. So yeah. Oh, another word I reference for it is apathy as well. Apathetic. Just funny with apathetic, it has the word pathetic in there. So yeah. I want to check here because I wrote things down. Oh yeah, so like there's sort of also like imagery involved with this, where it's like a dark hole, like a dark hole in space, with like the imagery that sort of is attached to this experience, where it's kind of like it's sucking me down, pulling me down, like in a dark room, or even like in a quiet room, where even though for other people it can be a different experience, but like the words like a quiet room, an empty room, that has like a positive association for me. So that's part of the positive and negative side. The dark, when I mentioned dark hole, is actually part of the negative. So, there's an interplay there between positivity and negativity. And as well as being alone, there's a positive association to being alone, as well as a negative association to be alone. And I access that either one time or another time. They're really both, I guess. So yeah, feeling heavy. I like how I present myself. People will sometimes tell me like I have low energy or look heavy, like I'm tired or something. Even though I know like when I want to do something like an exercise or activity, I can decide to do it and then I do it, no problem. So it's more like when I'm by myself, with myself, it's more, that's really the point. That's where I say perhaps the point of change is there, because when it is more when there's some activity to do, I'm, let's say, completely fine, like I just go ahead and do it. But it's more like when I'm with myself, that's where it's really like present the most. And with meditation, that's something I would always do, by myself. It's something you meditate with yourself. So that's really where I see the conditioning is. It's very much on a personal level, a relationship with myself that I have going on there. So that's why I don't really, well, you have to investigate then how to work with that. Okay. Oh yeah, then there's some back chat here that I wrote down. A back chat of, I don't know what I'm doing, or also there's a back chat that sometimes starts with my name first, like, Yogan, you do not know what you're doing. And I notice those back chat comes up whenever I'm doing something that's very physical. It's like an expression in a way, where I'm moving myself. And those usually come up within me. And then it becomes a point of like doubt and being unsure. And then I sort of, it's almost like when I'm in a point of insecurity, being unsure about something, or there's some sort of stress, then it's really natural for me to fall back onto this personality of, calling Eyor personality, this personality of just being relaxed and calm and just being, sedated. And yeah, I can see that throughout my whole entire life, doing that through school, through being with people, through difficult situations. And yeah, so it's like there's like a defense mechanism involved where personality is protected, where it's like to really change into something else that is different, that is me moving myself, that is like, let's say, real, that it prevents that it fights that, or resists that. So, and then also for solutions as well, also has solutions as well, is sounding self-forgiveness, where the point is to find a voice, a sound within me that I express that will release this and change this. And already start testing this out, but I think it's going to take some time to like try out different voices or things to really get this to change. So yeah, I wanted to do this whole video because I see that it's really important, because this is very much like a personality design, and there are plenty of people in the world who have the same personality design, and either they got it through meditation or through other things as well, through drugs or alcohol, or even just I don't know, some sort of habit or something that leads to the same kind of pacifying, passive, sedative effect. And I've seen this with other people as well. I've seen this within other people as well. Not everyone, but definitely some people that you can see it within their face, within how they are. And I'm sure this exists in some dimension within people, maybe less extent or more extent, which is also, I can see that clearly when people drink alcohol or do drugs, they're really accessing that same point anyway. It's just, for me, it's kind of a special case because of how I did as a kid, basically. I would imagine, like, if someone who smoked drugs, smoked weed, or drank alcohol as a little kid, that would have the same kind of effect that I'm going through. Because it's very much like always accessing the same point of being relaxed, being calm, being passive, being, let's say, peaceful, when in all these different situations, as a difference, as the same response to all the different situations, like stress or challenge or yeah, there you go. So yeah, so I wanted this video that's fully detailed with everything I got right now because I see it can be really relevant and supportive for people. So there you go. Take that information, use it for what's best for you, and may it help. Okay, bye.